Hello, dear students and all the listeners. My name is Hardika Raval, and we'll be studying chapter number 2 Internet Services today. This chapter covers the property and basics of email using the search engine, web services, search engine basics and the techniques, and about social networking. So, let us begin. Let us understand what is an email. Electronic mail, referred to as email, is a method of sending and receiving messages through the computer and internet. It is one of the most widely used internet services. It lets the users exchange messages with any number of users worldwide. This is the same as a traditional method of sending postal mails, except that you are using the computer. This method of sending mail has revolutionized the mail system. Let us first see the advantages of an email. You do not have to use any stationery. You do not have to write with pen and paper and post it in the letterbox. You just need to have an email address and a working internet connection. Next advantage is that it is very inexpensive. Most of the email services are free of cost and they do not have any overhead costs like in the postal mails where you have to pay for the postage fee. Next is that it is very fast. There is no delay in sending. The moment it is sent by the sender, it reaches its destination. You just have to open your mailbox to read the mail. Next is the immediate feedback. You get an immediate feedback about the status of the mail. If the message somehow does not reach the user, you will get a message stating the same and the probable reason for its failure. This way you can resend the message and rectify the errors. The next advantage is that you can keep a record of all the mails that you have sent and received. Next is the attachments and the multimedia support. An attachment is a file you send along with a mail. It can be a text, audio, video or any file. Let us also see the limitations of emails. First one is the hardware and software requirement. A computer, working internet connection and supporting hardware are mandatory to use an email service. Also, basic technical knowledge is necessary to send and receive the mails. Next is alteration of message formats. The formats of the text messages might get altered by the operating system, so one has to be careful while sending documents which have to be in specific formats. Next is impersonal. This way of sending is rather impersonal as it does not involve anyone's own handwriting and signatures. You can also face a problem of spam mails. This means that every time you open your inbox, you can see a bunch of useless and unwanted emails called spams from the people whom you don't know at all. Next limitation is virus attacks. Certain viruses are designed to be transmitted through emails. Viruses transmitted this way usually come along with attachments. When you open the attachment, the virus can infect your system too. Let us examine an email address. It specifies the actual message destination. An email message can be written as ananiketanmaninagar@gmail.com. The first part is the recipient identification followed by the @ symbol. The part that follows @ is the identification for the computer to which mail server the email is sent to. The first part can also be called as the username. The part after the @ symbol has certain domain names associated with the email address. To know more about the domains, kindly refer to chapter number 1. Now let us learn about how can we create an email account. First, connect to the internet and open any web browser. For example, type www.gmail.com in the address bar. As you can see on the screen, this similar page will be loaded. Click to the Gmail option to go to the sign in page. As you can see on the screen, a similar login window will be displayed to you. This window will ask you to log in if you already have an account, otherwise you can create one. To create a new account, click on the Create an Account button. After clicking on the Create button, you will get a form asking your basic details as displayed on the screen. Fill in all the details of your name, username, password, etc. and click on the Next Step button to submit the form. It will ask you to add your phone number on which a verification code will be sent to verify your account. After selecting the appropriate option to verify your account, click the Continue button. It will take you to your email account window which is now successfully created. If you already have an email account, go to the sign in, also known as the login page, and enter your username and password. Then click on the sign in button to proceed further. Now when your account is created and opened, you can see the mailbox similar to the image on the screen. All mails will be received in your inbox. Your mailbox gives you a lot of facilities to view emails, delete the unwanted ones, and compose and send mails. If you want to delete any mail, perform the following steps. Select the mail that you want to delete by clicking on the checkbox button given on the left hand side of each mail. After selecting the mail, click on the delete button. Your message will be deleted and go to the trash folder. Now let us learn about how to send emails. Click on the Compose button to open a new window as shown in the image. The Compose window is divided into 3 parts. The upper part will display a section to enter the email address of the person to whom you want to send this particular mail. So in the to section, you are going to mention the email ID of the recipient. Then in the subject, you are supposed to mention the reason of writing this mail. The lower part will display an empty area where you can write the email message. Type the email message in the body area, then click on the send button to send the email. If you want to send a mail to more than one recipient at a time, you can use the CC and the BCC features. CC stands for carbon copy. This is a way of sending the same email to multiple IDs simultaneously. An exact copy of the message will be sent to all the email addresses mentioned. Here, each and every other recipient will also know that you have sent a copy to other people. So all the recipients will know that you have sent this file to other recipients also. BCC stands for blind carbon copy. This is the method of sending email to multiple email IDs without letting the recipient know about other recipients. To attach any file with any particular mail, you need to click the attachment icon which looks like a U-pin. After this, you can browse for the file on your computer, select the file that you want to send, and it will get attached with the mail. Besides the compose option, there are other ways also of sending mails. The other ways are replying and forwarding messages. You can reply to any mail that has been received by you. By choosing the reply option, it will automatically fill in the email address of the sender as the recipient now, as we are going to reply to him, so he becomes the recipient. The forward option will allow you to pass on any of the messages that you have received to some other person or multiple people without having to recreate the message again. This is ideal to pass on messages with attachments so that you do not have to download the attachment files and then upload it again to a mail. Let us now learn about the search engines. The World Wide Web is a storehouse with an enormous amount of information. But how do you find the exact information what you are looking for? This is where the search engine comes in. It is a tool that is designed to search for information or documents with the help of keywords on the World Wide Web. The information can consist of web pages, images, and other type of files. Internet search engines are actually special sites on the World Wide Web that are designed to search information stored on the other sites of the World Wide Web. Some popular search engines are Google, Bing, Ask, Yahoo, and MSN. Now let us understand how does the search engine work. All search engines work in the same way. This consists of 3 major steps. The first one is web crawling. It searches the website and select pieces of information from various websites. The first part of the search engines is called a software called the web crawler or spider or a robot. This spider crawls or jumps from one web page to the other, following all the links looking for updated pages. This process is called web crawling and is done on a regular basis to have updated information. Next is creating an index. It is a second step. An index of the data and their location is created. Everything that the spider finds will be stored in the second part called the index. It is a massive catalog sort of structure that stores a copy of the information and its location. Each time the web page is changed, this index will also periodically update itself. The next step is search for keyword. In the third steps, search for keywords in the index is done. This part of the search engine is the actual search software. For example, if anybody searches for an ICT book, so it will look up to the index with any matching keywords related to the ICT book and show the list of all the website and web pages related to this keyword. It's time to explore some web services. First one is the internet chat. You must have seen people making online friends. Here distances have no meaning. This is done through online chat. Chatting means conversing with people who are using the internet at the same time as you are. In short, this is an online textual chat. This is similar to a telephonic conversation, only here the messages are typed in the form of text. This exchanges of messages is done by logging into any of the chatting sites and typing in the text messages. On these sites, typically, a group chat can also be done. These groups are normally formed on the basis of common interests like music, gaming, travel, etc. There are certain websites where a form is filled for username and password and you can directly get the chatting services. The chatting process is quite simple. The user has to log in and then go to a virtual chat room, after which you will be able to send and receive messages. Nowadays we can also send audio or video or multimedia files also if you have the appropriate bandwidth access and appropriate software. The WhatsApp Messenger and Facebook Messenger are the best example of internet chats. Another web service is video conferencing. It is the process where two or more people at different locations participate in a conference by using computer networks to transmit the audio and video data among each other. Video conferencing was first demonstrated in 1968, consisting of two closed-circuit television systems connected via cable. The main component here is the computer system. The other components required for a video conferencing system include a video input, that means we need to have a video camera or the webcam. At the other end also, to see the video as an output, we need a video output in terms of a computer monitor, television or projector. Then we have the audio input, that means the microphones, and at the other end, to listen to this audio we need speakers, which will be called the audio output. Then we have the data transfer, that means analog or digital telephone network or an internet connection. To do the data transfer, that means sharing the audio and video files. And the main component is the software using which the video conference will be taking place. There are two types of video conferencing. One is point-to-point and multi-point. In point-to-point, only two people can connect in the video conference, while in multi-point, there can be many number of participants. Next web service is the e-learning. E-learning is also known as electronic learning. This is a type of technology supported education or learning. The medium of instruction involves the use of computer and other digital technologies. E-learning is defined as planned teaching that uses a variety of technologies, mainly internet or computer based, to reach the learners. It may or may not involve a face-to-face interaction between the concerned people. Let us discuss some uses of e-learning. Some schools are using e-learning in a big way in computer-based test and multimedia-based classrooms. E-learnings provide reference to educational websites which offer worksheets and interactive exercises for children. Universities use e-learning to enable the distance learning method. Several universities offer online support services also, where the students can have registration, counseling, online textbook purchases, etc. Companies use it to deliver training courses to the employees at a distance. It also allows people to avoid the travel and reduce the paper usage. It provides quality education and is more affordable. It provides convenience and flexibility to the learners as e-learning is self-paced. Our next web service is e-banking. E-banking is the term used for online banking or internet banking. E-banking allows the customer to conduct financial transactions on a secure website. These websites are normally operated by their retail or virtual bank or credit unions. Some main features of online banking are: number 1, transactional, that means performing a financial transaction such as an account to account fund transfer, paying a bill, Applying for a loan, making loan payments, or getting a new account are considered as transactional features. Second is non-transactional. That means the online bank statements, checking the check status, etc. For maintaining the security of online banking, two different security methods are used for online banking. The PIN system represents a password used for the online login, and the OTP means the one-time password to authenticate the transactions. Whenever you are going to make any transaction, an OTP will be sent to a registered mobile number to ensure that you are the one doing the transaction. Next is signature based online banking, where all the transactions are signed and encrypted digitally. Next web service is the online shopping, that means the e-shopping. The process of shopping over the internet is called online shopping. Both products and services can be purchased online. Goods can be ordered, sold, or purchased. There are special websites where goods can be auctioned also. The payment has to be made through secure transactions. It can also be cash on delivery. Some popular sites for online shopping are Flipkart.com, Amazon.com, etc. Next is e-governance. Governance is a way of describing the links between the government and its political, social, and administrative environment. E-governance is the use of modern information and communication technologies such as internet, LAN connection, smartphones, etc. by the government to improve its effectiveness, efficiency, service delivery, and to promote democracy. The main features of e-governance are that it provides information quickly to all the citizens. It allows direct interaction between government and citizens. It improves delivery of public services such as transportation, power, health, water, and municipal services. It improves the transparency between government and the citizens. Other web services are e-groups. E-groups was an email list management website earlier. The website allows the users to create their own mailing list and allow others to sign up for membership on the list. The website provides archives of the messages posted. Each group also has a shared calendar, file space, group chat, and similar database. It was brought by Yahoo and has now become a part of the Yahoo groups. Next is advertising. The web is a commercial place where large-scale advertising can be done without much cost involved. E-commerce is thus an interesting and profitable way of doing business in this internet era. We cannot escape this beautiful method of conducting transactions, but we need to be careful as there are numerous security risks involved in the same. Next is blogs. A blog is derived from the term weblog. It is a website usually maintained by an individual. It contains regular entries of commentary, description of events, or other materials such as graphics or videos. A blog can be written by an individual on his or her personal area of interest. Other people with the similar interest can join the blogs and follow their post. They can also give their valuable comments on the posts. To know about how to create blogs and more about the blogs, kindly refer to chapter 1. Next is e-reservation. E-ticketing means to make a reservation via the internet. You can check the availability of seats in buses, trains, aircraft, etc. and book the tickets online. For example, Indian Railways has an official website www.irctc.co.in which can be used for e-reservations. After booking the online tickets, an e-ticket is also generated. All the payments can also be done online. The last one is the social networking. Social networking websites function like an online community of internet users. They provide a virtual community in which the members with common interest in hobbies, religion, or politics may communicate with each other. This socialization may include reading the profile pages of other members and possibly even interacting with them. Some of the very popular social networking websites are Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We have to follow certain guidelines while using any social networking websites. Let us discuss the guidelines. First one is the age requirement. That means there is a minimum age 13 years requirement to sign up. Next is the password. You do not have to share your password with anyone except your parents. When you use a public computer, make sure you log out of the accounts you have accessed before leaving the computer. Next is the screen name. When creating your screen name, do not include personal information like your last name or date of birth. Personal information includes that you do not have to give your last name, home address, school name, mobile telephone numbers, email ID, etc. on any social networking platform. Next is photographs and videos. You do not have to post photographs and videos online without getting your parents' permission. While making online friends, please remember that you do not have to agree to meet any online friend unless you have your parents' permission. Unfortunately, sometimes people pretend to be people they aren't. Next is bullying. Don't send or respond to any mean or insulting message. Tell your parents if you receive one. If something happens online that makes you feel uncomfortable, talk to your parents or a teacher at school. Beware of steganography. This is a technique of hiding a secret message in a graphics message. These secret messages may contain codes that can access personal information like name, address, phone number, etc. Social networking websites face the risk of coded graphics messages. We should take care while forwarding graphic messages. It is safer to send personal greetings of any occasion rather than forwarding any message. Here we have reached to an end of the chapter number 2. Hope you have understood all the concepts clearly. Please note down queries if any. Thank you. Good luck.